So today we're going to be talking about how to sell your home and the step-by-step breakdown, what to do in order to sell your home. Just want to let you know that there's going to be a document and a link down below in the description that you can get. It's about how to sell your home. It goes through the whole process of it. If you want it, check it out down below in the description. The first thing you should do is to figure out why you want to sell your home and if you really want to sell your home. After that easy step, the second thing is to find an agent. Me, if you're in Michigan. If you're in another state, find someone that you know personally or that you trust in that area. And let's say you have a family member that you want to help out, but you're really unsure of their skills. Always ask them to partner with another agent that is experienced that can get that help. There's 3 things to look for when you're looking for an agent. First thing is, how much are they going to charge for listing my home and what are they going to do for those services? A lot of agents will include marketing and such things into the services and just so see what they offer and how much they charge for each service. The second thing to know is, does this agent know what they're doing in the area, or they are familiar with that type of properties that you're selling? Just do your due diligence on that. A third thing is to find out an agent that can tell you the real information. If your property is worth $500,000 and you want to sell for $800,000, your agent should tell you that it's worth $500,000 and it could be a bad idea listing at $800,000. If you want to list it for $800,000 still, you can still do it, but the agent should advise you otherwise. Now, I always hear as a side note, can you sell your home without an agent? Yes, you can. It's called for sale by owner, but everything's on you and becomes a lot more stressful because the entire process is on you. You have to accommodate for all showings. You have to figure out the negotiation paperwork, and your property is going to be less seen. I'm going to show you on Zillow. So as you can see right here, this is Zillow. These are all properties for sale. You can see all these dots right here. Most people, when they go look for properties, they're going to look right here. Now, if you're for sale by owner, you want to know what the situation could be. If someone wants to see your property for sale by owner, it doesn't show up right here with all the other properties. Someone has to go knowingly looking for a for sale by owner property. Click right here for sale by owner and others, and then you see the properties here. It's a different search category, and many people don't know about this, and a lot of people not to look at them. So you have to deal with all that, and I can guarantee you one thing. Once you list your property for sale by owner, the first few days, you're going to get more calls from agents than buyers themselves, and you're probably going to get really annoyed by that. And for showings and stuff, you have to accommodate. You have to make sure that trust the person going into your home, or you have to be there to show the home. If it's listed on the market with an agent, it's going to be a lot easier for agents to go in your property. You won't have to deal with all those showings. The listing agent will help deal with that, all that stuff. And you don't have to really negotiate as much. The listing agent does it for you, and they know the market well. So after you figure out on an agent and you're going to be working with me, I will be coming to your house for a listing appointment, and we're going to be talking about a few things. I'm going to also look at your property, and we're going to decide all the things to go over. First thing we're going to be talking about is the cost of selling your property. We're going to go over how much the commission will be, how you're going to pay transfer tax, and how you're going to pay your property taxes. For commission, you might have heard on the NAR settlement that sellers don't have to pay a buyer's commission anymore. And I just want to tell you that that is the case in the future. But in order to make your property very appealing, you're probably going to want to offer a 3% concessions or a buyer's commission still in that regard. Because many people are still going to be using a buyer's agent. And if you're not offering commission, a lot of people are still going to go to a property where they're offering that concession/commission for the buyer's agent. And many people, if they're not going to be using a buyer's agent, they want that 3% concessions for themselves. So it's going to be really advised that you still offer in some capacity to a buyer's agent, and you're obviously going to be paying 3% to the listing agent for that home. So it could sum up to about 6% for the commission side. There will be also a couple other closing costs too with title, transfer tax, and property taxes that you will have to deal with. For property taxes, you will be paying all the property taxes up to the point of selling your home. So just remember that. You'll be putting that money into an escrow account. Also, there's going to be a transfer tax that you will pay. Sometimes it's split by the buyer and seller, and sometimes the buyers offer to pay it. But just for a short notice, the state of Michigan, just the state of Michigan, is $3.55 for every $500. There could be other cents included if depending on the county or city. I've heard in some counties it's 55 cents. So after we talk about how much it's going to cost to sell your home, commissions, closing costs, fixing up your property, we're going to see what your property is worth now. We're going to base it off a few things such as the neighborhood comps around your house and the condition of your property and the market trends in the area. Now just remember, there are going to be a few things that could definitely lower your property's value compared to your other properties, such as many things are not up to code in your property. if the roof's really damaged, if there's any structural issues, there's cracks or foundation damage, those things can really hurt the price of your property. A few things that raises the value of property are finished basements, double pane windows, hardwood floors. Those are the type of things that can raise the value of property compared to other properties in your neighborhood. So just keep those things in mind. If you do want to improve your property, talk to me or talk to your agent. Depending on your situation, some things might be worth improving, some things might not be worth improving. So don't just go and start improving without talking to an expert on this situation, because some things it might not be worth and you might be in over your head. And some things can help you sell for top dollar, so make sure about that. I have a video on my channel talking about what are the few things that could raise the value of property. Go check that down below in the description. Now, when we're talking about the property regarding the market data and the neighborhood comps, we're going to look at a few things. We want to look at properties that have the similar bedrooms and bathrooms and square feet. If the square feet is super off by like 600-700 feet, you can't use that property as comps. If there's nothing around it, then we're going to have to kind of use it and kind of adjust for that. But if you live in like a traditional suburban neighborhood, you're going to have a lot of properties to use as your comps, which is a good thing. Now, the factors in the comps that are going to affect is bedrooms, bathrooms, area, demand of the property. That means how long the property stays on markets. If we see properties that are staying on market for 2-3 days, we're going to know that this is a very competitive market and you could price it better. If properties are selling on the market for like 30 days, then we know that this is going to be a slower market. How much land does the property have, as not just the property itself, but the yard space, acreage? Are the renovations up to date? Are there any unique features that could probably elevate the property value a little bit or make it stand out compared to other ones? If a property has a deck versus a property that doesn't have a deck, it's not going to make a huge difference in the price, but it can still do make a difference on the pricing a little bit, you know, because one does and one doesn't. So it depends on what's for sale in the area too. I just want to let you know that real estate transactions are going to be different. They're not like going to the store and buying a cereal box or going to the store and buying something fixed, right? You know that's the price and there's really no negotiating. With real estate, prices change, markets change, demand change. It's a very fluctuating market with values. So maybe when you're selling your home, the home value might go up over time while you're selling your home, or it might go down. So you have to realize that values change like that and nothing's fixed. Now, if you live in the state of Michigan, if you lived in that property and you claimed it as a personal residence, you will have to fill out the disclosures in your property. So if you are thinking of hiding certain things, you won't be able to do that or get away with that. And it's pretty illegal and unethical, so don't do that. But if you did live in a property, you will have to fill out a property disclosure by law. If you do not fill it out and you're caught wrong or lying about it, you can get in some legal trouble about that. In this disclosure, you're going to have to notify if there's lead paint, if there's any problems to the house, if the appliances don't work, there's mold, pest, history like that, you probably have to disclose. And depending if you live in another state, check the laws, because some states have different laws on what you have to disclose and what you don't have to disclose. So always check with your local laws or the realtor or me on what you have to disclose. At the end of all of this, after figuring out what the value of property is and looking in the inside and doing the comps, your agent's going to tell you a fair market value for the property and what it should be sold for. I understand that you as a seller sometimes have a price in mind that you want to sell for, and sometimes it might be really off from the agent or it might be really close. If you decide to listen to the agent, sometimes they will help you sell it for a good price. The listing agent wants to sell it for a higher price. They want to help you out too, and they will help them out if you want to be like that. The listing agent's going to make more money when they sell your house for more top dollar. So if you're thinking in this type of different incentive, the listing agent's going to help you out here. Now, you do want to list your property for a good price. If you list it for a higher price, what will happen is if it's overpriced and it stays on market for long, that can hurt the price of the property. People are going to look at that, and if it's on market for a while, they're going to be like, something's wrong with it or it's overpriced. I, as a buyer's agent, when I see a property that has a high days on market, I never submit an offer that's at asking price. No. Unless the property is really worth it, because I usually go a bit lower. And if you have a buyer's agent and if you're in the buying process after you're selling your home, you should do the same too. If there's a property that's been on market for long, you're going to probably submit a lower offer, or you're going to wonder what's going on with that property. So just make sure you know that, and that's why it's important not to overprice your home, because it can really hurt your home. It can hurt the chances of your home selling in the future. Just because it's off Zillow doesn't mean that realtors can't see the history. I can see the history. I can see that you take it off market and then you put it back on market. or that you tried selling your house for $50K more 2 years ago. Realtors can see that stuff, so just know that. Now, after we decided on the listing price and the commission and the cost of everything, this part's going to be a lot easier for you because you don't have to do as much now. It's going to be the listing agent's work. Now, after you decided on how much you're going to pay your agent and how much you're going to list your home, this part's going to be easy and the agent's going to be doing most of the work from here on out now. For you, it's just going to be yes, no's, and cleaning up your home. So listing the home, the agent's going to create a listing description. Basically, when you click on the property, what do they read and what is said in the paragraph. Also, the agent's going to hire a photographer to come in and take photos or make a video for it. If they're doing it themselves, and if you're not using me, which you should be, but if their agent's using their own iPhone camera, don't hire them. You should be getting professional photography on the property. So when you list your property in the MLS, it will automatically upload the properties to Zillow.com, Realtor.com, Trulia, Rent.com if you're renting your property. All the websites that you think of when you're looking to find a home, it's going to show up on those websites. So people that are looking from any website, they will see your property. So you don't have to worry when you put on the MLS. Putting your property in the MLS will actually get your properties the most views. Like I showed you before, for sale by owner, it's a special section and it's only on that website usually. So when you list it, it's going to be a good thing and it's going to be shown on a lot of properties. Now, one of the few things that you can do once it goes on market is you as a seller is that once it goes on market and your realtor makes a post or lists it or does something, share that post, share it with all your family and friends, repost on your Facebook account or Instagram that you're selling your property. And many people are going to look into that. They're going to either hit up their buyer's agent or are going to hit me up or you up directly, and we can get this deal going through. These things can help for selling your property. So once it's listed and we're starting showings in the home, what I will do and many realtors will do is put a lockbox on the property. So when a buyer's agent or me are coming to look through a property, we will have a code and we will be able to open that lockbox and bring our buyer through. And you usually won't be inside the home when you're selling it. If you have to be there, it's possible, but I highly advise that if you're gonna be doing showings, try to leave the house and don't be there. People are way more likely to make a decision without the owner sometimes, or sometimes it makes it sus. Now, also, while listing your property, on the weekends, your agent or I will be hosting open houses at your property. It's the same things that you walk into when you're going through your neighborhood and you see a property on a Saturday morning and you walk in, no commitment. Same thing we're going to be doing for your property, open houses. We will be marketing these open houses. You should also be marketing them too by sharing them to your friends and reposting them. You don't have to go crazy with the ads. Your realtor's got that for you. But just repost and share it out to your friends and family. And these open houses can help you get a sale and help get traction for your property. And from these open houses, someone could come and buy the property. So we're going to be hosting open houses for the first couple weeks once you list your property. And ideally, it should be sold within the first couple weeks because of that. So you now listed your property, you had a few showings, you had an open house, and now you have a few offers on hand. In the very beginning, once you get an offer and your property's in a really good neighborhood, I or your realtor will tell you what kind of market you're in. If you get an offer at the very beginning, you might want to just accept it and get rid of it. If you get an offer in the beginning and you really like it, you can just accept it and get done with it. If you're really trying to get top buck for your property and it's in a really competitive market, in the very beginning, if you get an offer, I would still just wait a couple of days. A lot of people, they will release their property on a Thursday and they won't take offers till Monday. Let them all load up and then you decide on Monday or Sunday evening. Especially if you price your property really well and you're in a really good neighborhood and it's a really hot market, you should do that method in the weekend. Wait and then sell it. If you're real urge to sell it, then just take the offer right away. I or your realtor will guide you through what is the best option for you given what you've told us and what you want on the property. Now, let's say you get multiple offers. Do you have to accept the first one or do you have to accept the highest one? Well, accepting offers is up to you. You can accept whatever one you want. A lot of things you're going to be deciding is that there's the price of the property, right? That's going to be the easiest one. Which one is a higher offer? I go for that. But other than price, there are a few things that you should look for in the offer before you decide to accept it, such as when do they want to be in the property? When do they want the keys? Is there going to be an inspection contingency or appraisal contingency? Is it going to be a cash or mortgage offer? These type of things you have to consider depending on the type of property you have. If you have a property that's not up to code and you're not trying to do massive improvements and get rid of it, if you get like a VA home loan buyer or a FHA home loan buyer, you have to consider that their loans are not going to approve unless your house is up to code. So either this buyer or you will have to fix that up. So there's a lot of things to consider when accepting offers. If you take cash is the easiest and the smoothest and the fastest transaction. You can get the closing done within a week or 2 weeks. Mortgages, expect about 4 to 6 weeks, more so 4 weeks. I've even done deals within 3 weeks, but expect mortgages to take a bit longer than cash. So these factors to hold in. Keep in mind other things that they have in the offer. I or your realtor will help you guide you through those and explain you what are they asking for in the offer. So sometimes you might not like the offer that you get, but it's pretty close to what you want. You can always submit a counter offer. Let's say your property, you got an offer for $245 and you want it to be $250. You can always shoot back a counter offer saying, hey, look, increase the price to $250. The buyer's agent will take it to their buyer. They will go over it, and if the buyer agrees to it, the buyer's agent will submit it back to you and say, hey, look, we accepted the counteroffer at $250, and now you decide to sign it. If you don't want to sign it, you don't have to sign it, but you sign it. After you sign it, and the buyer sends the first signed documents, you're not officially in contract. You have to send it back to the buyer for the buyer to bottom line. Once that buyer bottom lines that contract and sends it back to you, you're officially in contract for that property. So if you get an offer and you don't like it, you should always try to counter offer back. I highly advise that you do shoot counter offers back to your buyers, because many buyers, they are sometimes trying to lowball the property. And if you counter offer by 5-10K, they might be willing to do that, and they just offer that price as a starting price for negotiations. So always try counter offering to get the best value from your deals. Now, during contract, there are a few places where the deal could still go differently. Let's say it's a traditional buyer, 30-year mortgage, and they're doing inspection and appraisal contingency. Inspection is to see the condition of the property. Appraisal is for the mortgage people to see if the property is worth what it's selling. Now, in the listing appointment, I or your realtor would have talked to you about certain things that could come up in the inspections, or you probably have fixed them up. Same thing with appraisal. We would have told you what the true value of the property is and what you should list it at. Now, in this situation, let's say you did overlist your property and it was overpriced, and you did have a mortgage offer at that overpriced value. If the appraisal comes under that, the buyer can leave that deal if they had an appraisal contingency, or you will have to lower the price because the mortgage people won't cover the full price of the property. For example, you start at $250 and the property is worth $200K. And you have a mortgage offer at $250. If the appraiser comes in and says it's worth $200K, that buyer's only able to finance up to $200K, and they will either have to pay the $50K cash, lower it down to $200. That's why it's very advisable to price your property right, so when you get the offers, you won't have to deal with this appraisal situation. If you overprice your property, you will deal with appraisal issues as a seller. Same thing with inspections. We will be talking about certain things that are red flags in your property, things you should fix. If you disclose it beforehand, it usually can go better. Now, during these two contingencies, the buyer can come back with a negotiation for lowering the price. And if they're within that time period of the contingency, they can leave the deal if they don't like the deal. So just remember that. Now, let's say all those contingencies pass and now everything's done. You guys are going to the closing table. You guys can go to the same day, same place, and you guys can see the buyer and seller, and you guys can both meet, or it can be in different places. I've done deals where I've never seen the seller, I've never seen the buyer. So sometimes it happens separately, sometimes we've had it in the same place, so there's many different ways how the deal can be done. If you're out of state, you're probably going to be doing a different place than the buyer, obviously. Now, once you're going to the closing table, there's going to be the cost that you have to pay for selling your home. If you're going to have equity in your property and you're going to be selling it for some profit, usually a lot of those costs can come out right from the deal, so you really don't have to bring cash to the table and deal with all that. It can just be taken off from the property, and the title company has that all handled out for you. Sometimes you might have to pay out of pocket if you're in a weird property situation where you have to pay out of pocket. That can happen, but for most cases, it's probably just going to come out of your property sale, and then it just gets rearranged like that. So you won't have to worry about that. You go to the closing table, you give the keys to the buyer, or sometimes you just leave the keys at the lockbox and the buyer goes there and picks it up from the lockbox. So there's a lot of ways you can do it, but you go and sign at the closing table and your property is officially sold. Congratulations, you just sold your property. If you have any questions about selling your property or want to go over anything, feel free to contact me. My name is Jay Shah. I'm from Real Brokerage. Thank you guys for watching, and you guys have a great day.